What's up, guys? My name is Will, and I'm here to do a chapter on Bleach, a review on Bleach, the manga. And the chapter I am doing, let me just check right here, it's 525. And so I usually don't do manga reviews, but I'm going to throw this one out there because I thought this chapter was amazing. This manga is amazing, so if you guys are up to date, let's just get to it. The summary is going to be real short, guys. You've probably already read it. You should have already read this before I do the review. The point of a review is just to review it, not summarize it. I'm not being like a reply girl and just summarizing exactly what I saw back. So in terms of that, read the chapter for the summary. I'll just do a quick run through. You have the Kenpachis fighting each other. You have, what's her name? Unohana and Zaraki fighting. And it's pretty much broken up into, a flashback and the revelation at the end. So, 525, for those of you who don't know, Zaraki, he doesn't know why he's having these unconscious thoughts. And it turns out at the very end that Unohana is actually killing him and then reviving him. And that implies quite a few things. One, it means that each time he kills Zaraki, it means Zaraki didn't notice, which means Unohana is still stronger than him. And two, it implies that, he's probably already lost conscious quite a few times, and it's stated she's going to do this 100, if not 1,000 more times to get him to just back to where he was originally. So, if you guys don't know already, I'm just going to summarize the flashback before I go into all the implications of this. Okay, so in the flashback, it's just pretty much when these Kenpachis first meet each other. Zaraki and Unohana, who at the time was feeling apathetic because no one could parallel her in her power and skill in fighting. And then, this Zaraki comes along, this little kid, and he beats Unohana. And apparently that was pretty much his sin, or her sin, because apparently since she lost, Zaraki placed shackles on himself, and he kind of subconsciously limited himself because he didn't want to keep losing. And I guess that makes sense because he enjoys fighting so much, but he could never find an equal. And so, essentially what Unohana is doing is releasing these shackles. So, let's get down to it. What are the implications of this? Well, unfortunately, this causes quite a few loopholes, which I've discussed with some people. I wouldn't say loopholes, more like story holes. I don't know if they can be resolved or they are resolved, but they're still there. One is why did Unohana not just kill Aizen? Why did she not even partake in the whole Aizen arc if she's that strong? Kenpachi is supposed to mean like, the title is supposed to mean you're the strongest in Soul Society. So unless there's something to be explained about, how her power is diminished over time, which I don't think is the case, why didn't she fight Aizen? And why, for the matter, did she not fight Ichigo way back in the time when he first invaded Soul Society? If she was that strong, why did she just stay in the back and heal? And why is she being considered just a healer type Shinigami this whole time, who sits in the back and barely does anything but heals people? And when we see her fight in these few chapters, her way of fighting is nothing like the healing she used to do. And what also doesn't make sense is, has she lost her apathy for fighting? Like, if she's always been so thirsty to fight and find an equal, why has she all of a sudden lost that and just gone to healing? That shouldn't be the case. She should still be very thirsty for fighting. But for the last 100 chapters, before the last 5, she's been like this passive person who's pretty much been content with sitting in the back and just healing people. And I'm sure Tide Kubo will add some more stuff just to explain this so the fans don't get outraged by loopholes. But it doesn't make sense as of now. I'm sure they'll probably just say something stupid and explain it off later on, like, I don't know, after she lost to Zaraki, she just didn't feel like fighting anymore because she had finally found a superior. But again, it doesn't really make sense. Moving on from that, Zaraki. Apparently, this means that he's been weaker this whole time. After he lost as a child, or after he won as a child to Unohana, just as a child, he pretty much became the strongest of Soul Society. And because of that, apparently he placed shackles on himself. And apparently what's happened is when he fought Ichigo, a few of his shackles fell off, but he was still, much weaker than he was at one point as a child. When he keeps coming close to death, he pretty much gets closer to returning to his full strength. That's what me and my friend discussed and came up with. It's not like, he was at this current state of power and then, Ichigo boosted him up further. He was strongest as a child. He won versus Unohana, lost all his power, not all of his power, a lot of it, and then gradually, each time he came close to death and won or lost again, he gained a little bit of it back, which means, as of now, he just might be the strongest person. He might be Ichigo. I feel like Ichigo, the main character, he doesn't need to be strongest in the whole manga. I mean, there's so many mangas that do that and end the entire series with, the main character being the strongest. That doesn't have to happen. I feel like Kenpachi Zaraki could be the strongest. I mean, when you think about it, he doesn't even have Bankai yet. And it's just pure strength. By pure strength, he's already that strong. As a child, just by pure strength, he beat Unohana. And Unohana at the time had Bankai. He never had Bankai. In fact, I think there's a form before Bankai, like the sword release that you have to learn first, which also increases your powers. But he hasn't learned that either, apparently. I don't know too much about that. I can research it, but the point is, he hasn't learned that either, and just by pure strength, he's stronger than all these people. More implications. Where was Zaraki during the Asian arc? And where does he place in the Asian arc in terms of strength? We know for a fact he's not the strongest right now because he lost to the captain commander of the Quincy's. And so it wasn't even the real one. It was a fake who borrowed the strength from the real one. And then the fake one got killed off. So he's still pretty far off. I would say as of right now, in his weakened state, he's below Ichigo for sure. But other than Ichigo, he's pretty much stronger than everyone except maybe a few of the commanders of the divisions, like Unohana, as you can tell, because he keeps losing consciousness without even realizing he died and getting revived by Unohana. And he's weaker than the old guy with the beard who died, obviously. He's apparently supposed to be the strongest of Soul Society, other than Kenpachi. I mean, he has a big one on his back. The old guy with the staff, I forgot his name, but he got owned too by the commander of the Quincy's. So I would say, here's the breakdown of strength in the entire Bleach as of now. Feel free to dispute it. I'm just putting this out there just to get a general sense. If someone can clarify, that would be great. But I would say Spear King's at the top. I'm just going to place him there because we have no idea of his power level. We just know he controls everything, and without him, everything would go to dust. Then we have the Kenpachi. No. Spear King, the 4 guards of the Spirit King are right below them. Why? Because it was stated that each of them are stronger than all the commanders of Soul Society combined. So we have Spirit King, the 4 guards, then we have probably Ichigo, and then I would say Unohana. No. I forgot to include the Commander Quincy. Okay, so one more time. Spirit King, the 4 guards, and then I'm going to put the Commander of the Quincy next to them, equal in strength, just because it's unknown. All these people are unknown, so I'm just going to place them together because we don't know their strength. We just know the guards are strong. Each of the guards are stronger than all of the commanders of Soul Society put together. So I would say Spirit King, the 4 guards are equal to the commander of the Quincy's as of now. We don't know where all 3 of these mix, so I'm actually just going to put all 3 at the top. And then right below them we have Ichigo, who from that little showdown with the commander, he couldn't even catch him and fight. So I would say he's weaker, for sure. He seems to be weaker than the guards, just from what we've seen so far. And then I would say Kenpachi Zaraki is right below. And then Unohana is slightly above. But after this training with Unohana, I'm pretty sure Zaraki's gonna be stronger than him or her, and Unohana's gonna die because she's gonna keep killing and reviving him until he gets strong enough to kill her, and then he's gonna kill her, and then he's gonna be stronger. So that's the hierarchy as of now. Feel free to clarify in the comments if you have something to add. I'm not entirely sure. But the point of this is, it's really weird. If I were to include dead people to the hierarchy or incapacitated people, like Aizen, because Aizen's immortal, he can't die, I would say these people are probably somewhere on this hierarchy of the people I listed, and therefore above the rest, all the other characters in Bleach I haven't mentioned. So because of that, I would think for sure, for absolute sure, there's got to be some loopholes. A lot of these characters, some of them, like you've already explained, like Taide Kubo's already explained why they didn't help, but some of them, like Unohana, it still hasn't been explained why these characters have not helped in the Asian arc or a further arc, like when Ichigo first invaded Soul Society. If they were that strong back then, because I'm pretty sure Unohana was that strong back then too, why didn't they come out to the front lines if they were so much stronger than everyone else? I mean, at the time when Ichigo invaded, to them it seemed like a crisis. There was some unknown threat that was destroying all the best people sent towards them. So again, a lot of plot holes, but a lot of good things too. I'm expecting a whole lot out of this. I'm really excited for Zaraki. There's a huge Dragon Ball Z reference. I'm pretty sure Taide Kubo did that on purpose. He did this because Saiyans in Dragon Ball Z do the same thing. If they get close to death, they get a lot stronger. And so it's probably a mention of that, but he did switch it up in the fact that he's not actually gaining strength. He's just returning to his former self, which means as a child, that was when he was the most strong. So if Zaraki had found someone who was his match or superior, then he would have gotten so much stronger. He wouldn't have put shackles on himself and limited himself. He would have just kept growing in strength, and he would be a whole lot stronger right now. He would have destroyed Ichigo. I've talked to it with a friend, and without a doubt, we agreed Zaraki would have destroyed Ichigo if this hadn't happened to him. So I'm hoping Zaraki, he's definitely going to be up there. He did lose to the commander of the Quincy's badly, but I mean, there's so many things to take into account. He has no Bankai, first off. That's ridiculous. The Bankai is supposed to increase your power by like 100 or 1,000 fold. So once he gets Bankai, he's gonna like skyrocket even further. Right now, just by pure strength alone, he's already like up there with, Ichigo and others. Not completely, but he will be after this training, just in pure strength. And so my friend said this, and I'm sure some of you guys are going to say this. Why doesn't he have Bankai? And they also said, I don't think he's ever going to get Bankai. He's not capable. That's not true. The reason why he doesn't have Bankai, and it's stated on his wiki page and in the actual text of the manga, it's because, he doesn't treat his sword as a companion. He pretty much hasn't tried. The only time he semi-tried was after he lost to Ichigo. He thought maybe he could gain more power by being friends with his sword. So he kind of opened up slightly to his sword. But I felt like the reason that didn't work was because his sword was it's already been neglected for hundreds, if not thousands of years of Zaraki's life. So just because Zaraki opened up briefly for a couple seconds, it's not going to change how the sword feels. So, as of now, you can tell how much respect you need to give your sword to achieve like an actual Bankai. If you've seen the chapters recently, you know that Ichigo, who's probably one of the characters in the entire series who's most in tune with his sword, who pretty much, treats his sword like a companion and has mastered like one of the strongest Bankais in the whole series because of like his knowledge of the sword and all of that. Despite all of the stuff Ichigo has, when he's getting trained by the 4 guards, the guard who's training him now, who like is the master of the swords or whatever, he's telling Ichigo that the way he treats his sword is completely crap. It's like ridiculous. Like, you're not treating your sword even close to honorably. And then from the last few chapters, it seems like Ichigo was completely shocked at this. And apparently there's a whole lot more levels of respect and knowledge and whatever way you're supposed to treat your sword. It hasn't been revealed. Apparently you're not supposed to treat it like a companion or friend or something lower than you or superior to you. The role of how you're supposed to acknowledge your sword hasn't been revealed. But apparently Ichigo hasn't been doing it. And despite this, he has achieved Bankai. Zaraki, on the other hand, he's been neglecting his sword the entire time. He's just been treating it like an inanimate object, and it's pretty much been shown that he's been treating it like complete garbage this whole time. So obviously right now, I don't think so, but I mean, a change of heart, a change of personality isn't far off from happening. It's not unlikely because Zaraki enjoys power, and if he thinks he can get Bankai and that would release so much more of his power level, then he would do that if he had to change his personality, because what he likes most is fighting. So I can't wait for what happens. I'm really hoping Zaraki will be one of the top. I really feel it would be awesome to see him just like, for Ichigo to lose to, the commander of the Quincy's, and then Zaraki just to bust in there, and then just on pure strength kill the captain of the Quincy's. And then from there, he loses to some greater foe, but then he brings out Bankai and wins. I feel like that'd be awesome. I'm just going to predict that right now. If it happens, you heard it here first. So I'm just going to leave with one final thought. I'm just going to impart this thought to you. Zaraki. It's more of a flashback, recall. Zaraki, when he fought the blind guy, and he was in that blind guy's Bankai. You know that blind Shinigami guy who ended up defecting and going to be one of Aizen's like right-hand mans? You know, the blind guy who became Aizen's right-hand man. When he fought Zaraki and used his Bankai, which pretty much, you know, blinded Zaraki and destroyed all of his senses, that was just like the perfect example of the potential of Zaraki. Because if you remember what Kenpachi Zaraki did, he let that guy stab him with his sword just so he could, you know, attack him. And that's just insane, dude. That's the amount of enjoyment he has in fighting, and I really feel he's going to go far. I mean, it's pretty obvious he's limited himself in many ways. You know, he's got the eye patch, which, you know, blinds him and sucks in his energy. And he uses all these things like bells so that his enemy will have an advantage over him. Like, his enemy can hear him better. And he does all this to, you know, lower himself so he can have more fun fighting because he couldn't find an equal. And this has gone on forever, so I'm going to leave all this to you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, subscribe.